Hi there, I'm Kathleen Lucy, Client Director at Stryve.
And I'm Paul Delahunty, Information Security Officer with Stryve.
Paul, you mentioned previously know your assets. Can you tell me, what do security people mean when they talk about an asset?
Well, I suppose we mentioned know your assets because it's, if you're going to protect your assets, you have to know what they are. And when I speak about assets, I suppose I'm talking of things that are of value to your company. And I don't mean monetary value. So it's not that, that really expensive server, that really expensive computer that's in the corner, that kind of stuff. I'm talking about things that would, if they were missing tomorrow morning, or if they're compromised in some way, how much damage would they do to your business? Would it be business ending? Would it just make it more difficult to do business? What's the impact of that? And that, to me, determines the value of those assets. Now, that server, that laptop, they absolutely are some of your assets, but we need to think beyond, the monetary value of what we actually paid for something. So data, for example, is a huge asset to most companies, and most companies, without their data, or if it was locked away or ransomware away from them, or became compromised in some way, it would be a very, very damaging attack.
That makes sense. So we're talking about an inventory of your assets. I suppose the value of the asset.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we need to consider?
Yeah, you need to have an inventory of your assets, because again, if you're going to protect it, you have to know what you have. You also need to consider other things, like, who owns the asset, for example, or who's responsible for that asset. And the other thing too is access control. So you need to control the access into that asset. If we think of data again as being a huge asset, do you have controls over who can access what data? And is it appropriate to the level of I suppose, trust that you have in that person's role? So say, for example, the CEO should have access to more confidential information than maybe the junior intern who's just walked in the door, for example. So it has to be based on your role as well. Who has access to it, and is it on a need to know basis?
That's great. Very helpful points. Thanks, Paul.